Welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophia, pilot into the universe of Chinese. Let's continue exploring supposedly classical China Euro's character. And today we're going to talk about zi. And you can see three forms. Simplified since 1958, traditional since, I don't know, forever, and what I call mid-history, that Chinese characters already form a system about 2,000 years ago. The dictionary compiler Xu Chen captured all that different characters. So you can see the variations there. I grew up in this simplified, and we want to look at, how traditional represent this. It definitely has the left side is speaking, right? Versus this simplified, we get the speaking out of the picture. I thought probably because we already have the mouth symbol over there, which is kind of a speaking already. So traditional versus 2,000 years ago, you can see almost like this speaking sign is additional because we don't have a speaking symbol on here. Here, there's a little bit of rearrangement. So basically, the mid-history character is made of three parts. We have number two, just two horizontal lines. Like Chinese is as logic as that. The first three numbers, simply one line, two line, and three lines. And actually, I should rearrange it. So heaven, one line, number one. This is hard, okay. Earth, two lines. So when you see two lines, it's a heaven and earth, top and bottom of the frame. And then three lines, when it comes to three, then that's the middle part. That's the biosphere. The human exists between heaven and earth. Okay, so number two, which is corresponding to this, two dots here, but it was kind of transformed. It's not the original two. It become kind of get confused with the eyes icon. But not the case. When we see the bottom here, mouse symbol here, it's a mouse symbol, right? And then the qian on the top right corner of both is here. And so you can see three parts here. Some are kind of misrepresented later on, but definitely this speaking symbol is later added. It's not original. So in this case, it's a rare situation where the simplified Chinese actually align better with the 2,000 years ago's script language, which is after the standardization of Chinese characters by Qin Shi Huang about 2,000 years ago. Anyways, so I told you here we have three parts, right? But now it's the sense-making part. And it took me quite some time to figure, and okay, this is my best effort so far. Scholars have their own opinions, and this is my attempt, let's say this. Okay, so this qian, three strokes, plus this kind of curvier thing. This curvier thing is actually opened it up human icon. We know Chinese human figure is kind of looking like this, and it's a profile view of humans. It's the straighter part facing the left because Chinese is by default oriented toward the left. So forward facing, on the contrary to the English culture, is left facing, right? The arrow of the coordinates from Descartes has been pointing toward the right, the bigger number going toward the right. And, after the zero is a negative side, Chinese reverse. Our forward going is left facing. So the front side of the body is this straight line on the left side. And then the right side, curvier. So you have, like, if you notice your back chain of the body is curvier than the front side. So that's what the language captured. And here on the very top of it, there are three strokes coming out of it. What is that? That's the hush, the exhale from humans. So the whole thing would start, this character start as this yawning symbol, kind of, human behavior, everyday behavior. But Chinese scholars or meaning makers, generations of meaning makers, assign this additional meaning to it. When do people yawn? That is when you're not fully charged or energetic. So when you're lacking, when you do not have the full energy of you, when your body battery, so to speak, is like below full, then you're going to yawn. You're tired, you're fatigued, you don't have your full energy presence over there. That take on the second meaning, which 欠 means not enough, not fully. And when we say 欠收, like it's not a fully harvested year, like the crops are not reaching its 100% potential. Or 欠薪, the employers would owe employees their salaries. They couldn't pay them in time. And that Chinese would use this character, which, I mean, in the contemporary Chinese, it looks like this. But that's how the logic comes over from this yawning to missing, not enough. So this not enough paired with number two. Okay, Chinese, number two. Chinese, I guess the, what do you call it? Genesis story kind of coincide in that Chinese regard the world first come from heaven, one stroke, and then things split up into the lighter stuff going upward, the heavier stuff going downward, which is gravity, right? Later on, science explains it as such. But Chinese view it, there is this separation of top and bottom. And because the top, the very beginning thing, which is number one, the origins is one number. One becomes two. That two, not only sequentially, it comes later, but I guess significantly, it comes later because it was born from the one. So it's kind of inferior from the one. So when we say something is 不二, negative two, that means there is one and only. That's a Chinese expression to say somebody, so-and-so is such a, almost like a goat, like unimitable. Somebody who is stand out so much, kind of like a Michael Jackson or whoever the big artist is, the GOAT. And then they would be this 不二, negative two, meaning there's only one and only of them, like throughout the histories of human beings, human cultures. So that's 二, then means not the one and only, you are a derivative, or you come up later. So that paired with this yawning, deduced, lacking. So this, second and second rated, right? And then lacking together. 次 means, okay, it's not the best. It's simply not. Also, it could mean sequence, that simply because two comes after one. And also this yawning, this action, also like you see 1, 2, 3 here. So in this frame, you see 2 and 3. That also visually gives you kind of sequence. Things are progressing in a certain way, not necessarily the later ones diminishing, even if like Chinese almost like always play the bigger value toward the firstborn, the ancestors, the older, the more valuable. So the diminished value over like the younger ones are the least valuable. So that's the value system. But this is 次, this second, and then this lacking together gives, okay, it's not the best, the second best. And there's also sequential because it's a second best. That means things are ranked. Therefore, there is an order in it implied. Okay, so this order plus the mouse symbol simply means it's related to talking, speaking. So it's talk something out on how things are going to play. And that's how Chinese define consult. When you consult somebody, that means you want to know how things are going to unfold, right? And so when you ask that almost like a prediction of how things are going to play out, you're consulting somebody who have done this before, and they can advise you what's going to happen. Of course, sometimes the fees involved, sometimes it's free, right? So that's Chinese consult. We have 咨询, 询 means inquire, and 询, you see the share this speaking sign, well, which is this one, simplified version. And then 询 means 10 days or 10 years. In any case, it's a number 10. And in number 10, it involves with time, involves with sequence. So again, that we're checking out, the future steps. So that's inquire. We have consult and inquire. 咨询 together means today's fancy word of consulting service. That's how Chinese translate it as 咨 plus 询. Okay, 咨商 means, well, it means business, but the core meaning, the foundational meaning of 商 means evaluate something. So it's a Chinese effort to show you, for you to evaluate something, you have to quantify things. So it's quantitative thinking from the very beginning of creating this word. And business is pretty much of calculating about everything so that you can find your opportunity to make money out of it, right? So that starting point of evaluating paired with consult, evaluate. It's simply you consult with somebody, and this thinking process of debating, weighing something, and it's definitely like more than two brains. I mean, more than one brain, at least two brains, putting together their evaluation of things to come up with a more comprehensive or better informed decision. So that's 咨商, 咨文. Here, there's a meaning or transfer. 咨 not only means consult, but from consult, it carried the meaning of it's official. Probably because it's a sequential, right? It's many steps, and it becomes official, it becomes standardized, and it becomes promoted as the way to do it. Therefore, it becomes official, right? And then wen means text. And text in this context simply means documents. So 咨文 would become official document, things that government publish. Okay, so there we go. This is consult. And when I search for the imagery for consulting, this is what, so at least between two people. One is supposedly expert in that to advise the opinion or information or knowledge seeker. So that's 咨. Thank you for your time. See you another day.